Yeah. So what we will in this course, we will discuss about the Linux and AWS and DevOps. Okay. So initially we start with the Linux, then we'll discuss about the AWS and DevOps tools. So so once we start the AWS, right, we will include the DevOps tools on. So whatever, something like, so if you are launching a EC2 instance, right, so we need to launch the EC2 instance manually and through code. So through code while doing, so we can install, we can use the Terraform or something like Docker, Kubernetes, Chef, Ansible. So we will include the tools. So while doing the, while learning the AWS. Okay. So now you understood, right? So Linux, why we need to learn Linux, and so why we need to learn a Linux, guys. So before going to the Linux, so what is a OS, guys? Linux is a, what is Linux? Linux is a
Operating system, sir.
operating system. So Linux is a operating system. What this is, guys? So Linux is a operating system, and AWS is a, what is AWS, guys? AWS
Cloud.
is a
Clouds.
cloud. DevOps tools are automation tools. So automation tools. So why we need automation tools? So why we need automation tools, and why we need AWS cloud, and why we need Linux operating system? So Linux operating system. So Linux is the operating system, right, guys? Now you understood. So Linux is a operating system. Okay. So which laptops are you using, guys? So which laptops are you using?
I'm using Lenovo, sir. Lenovo.
HP.
Windows HP.
So HP is the hardware, right? HP is the hardware you are using. So which laptop are you using?
Lenovo, sir.
Dell.
Lenovo,
Dell.
Lenovo hardware, and Atheist is using Dell hardware. Dell hardware. So in these hardwares, you installed the OSs, right? So install a OS on your hardware or not? So which OS is installed on your hardware, guys?
Windows, sir.
Windows.
Windows. Windows is the operating system, and what is the version of the
Windows 10.
Windows 7? Windows. So which one you are using?
Windows 10.
7. So which one you are using?
Windows 10.
Windows 10. So Sindhu, which one you are using?
Windows 7, sir.
Windows 7. Guys, do you know how to see the operating system? Which operating system is installed on our machine? Now click on the desktop, right click on the desktop and properties. Yeah. So I'm using Windows 10 Pro. I'm using Windows 10 Pro. Same like is you guys. So you are using Windows 7, huh? Windows 7. You are also using
Windows 10.
you using Windows 10 na 7? 10. So what about you, Sindhu? Sindhu, which OS are you using?
Windows 10, sir.
Okay, Windows 10. Right. So Windows 10 OS. So right. So for example, this is your hardware. So this is your something like Lenovo. So this is your hardware. So for example, so this is your hardware. Yeah. So this is your hardware. Something like this is a Lenovo hardware. Lenovo hardware, right? So why you installed a Windows 10? Why you installed a Windows 10 OS on your laptop? So why you installed Windows 10 on your laptop? Yep, tell me guys. Communication. Communication.
Between two devices, sir.
Communication between two devices,
Two interconnected devices, sir.
to interconnected devices. So what do you know, Mareshwara? What is OS?
Mediator between hardware and software. Sir.
Mediator
Between hardware and software.
hardware and software. So mediator between
Hardware and software.
hardware and software. So Yatish, what you know?
Mediator between hardware and user.
Mediator
Between user and hardware.
user and hardware. So user and so between user and hardware. Okay. So communication between two interconnected devices. Two interconnected devices. So the other device is Sindhu. So I have only one device, right? So you said like two interconnected devices. So where is the other device? And Maharashtra, mediator between hardware and software. Mediator between hardware and software. So it is mediator between user and hardware. Mediator between. So for example, OS, right? So for example, OS. So OS is installed on your hardware. So OS is installed on your hardware. Hardware is nothing but a Lenovo or something like a Dell laptop. So this is a hardware. So who are using your laptop, guys? Who are using?
Laptops. Windows.
You only, right, guys? From morning onwards, what you are seeing? You are watching the videos on your laptop, right? So who are using your laptop? So something like you only, right?
I'm user.
Yeah, user. Yeah. And so are you able to interact with the hardware directly, guys?
No.
No. Why?
User hardware can understand only binary logics.
We need OS.
So hardware knows which language, guys?
Binary language.
Binary language. So hardware knows. So binary language. Binary means
So 101.
zeros and
Once.
ones. So hardware knows only binary language. Binary means zeros and ones. User knows which language, guys?
High level language like English.
High level language. For example, English. You know only English, but hardware knows. This hardware knows only.
Hardware knows only binary.
Hardware knows only binary. Binary means zeros and ones. Right. So this is the hardware. Hardware knows only zeros and
Once.
Zeros and ones. You know only. So this is the user. User knows only English language. Right. So are you able to communicate directly with hardware without OS?
No, sir.
Are you able to communicate with the hardware without OS? So because of hardware knows only binary language and you knows only English language, and you doesn't know the binary language and the hardware doesn't know the high level
High level
language.
language.
There is no possibility to communicate with each other. There is no possibility to communicate with each other. So right, so we need a alternative. So we need a alternative solution. So we need a alternative solution. So something like OS. OS knows both the languages. What guys? OS knows both the languages. Both the languages means binary and yes, mute yourself. Binary and English. So binary and English, for example. So English language. So whatever user convey the message to the hardware, right? So user conveyed to the OS. OS is the a mediator or a interface between user and hardware, because of whatever user convey message to the hardware, right? The computer. So user give it to the OS translated to zeros and ones, then give it to the computer. What the vice versa. So whatever the computer give the zeros and ones, so OS took the zeros and ones and translate to the high level language. So high level language. Now you understood, right, guys? So why we need OS? Sindhu,
Sir, yes, sir.
why we need OS?
It is a mediator between both hardware and software, sir.
Yeah, why do we need OS?
To communicate with hardware, sir.
So because of we are not able to communicate with the hardware because of we know only English language and the hardware knows only binary language, right? So there is no possibility to communicate with each other. For example, Sindhu knows Telugu, Etish knows only Hindi. So Sindhu want to convey message to the Etish. So but Sindhu knows only Telugu language and Etish knows only Hindi language. So is there any possibility to communicate with each other, guys?
No, sir.
No,
No,
right?
sir.
Yeah. So we need a translator who need a mediator which knows both the language. So for example, Hari is the mediator. Hari knows both the language, Telugu and Hindi. So whatever the message convey to the Yatish, right? Sindhu give it to Hari. Hari will translate from Telugu to Hindi and convey the message to the Yatish. The same way, whatever Yatish convey the message to the Sindhu, right? So Yatish convey to the Hari. Hari translated to the from Hindi to Telugu and give it to and inform to the Sindhu. Convey to the Sindhu, right, guys? Why do we need a OS? So OS is a mediator between user and computer, user and hardware. Guys, now you understood? Guys, now you understood? So
Yes,
what is
sir.
OS? OS is a mediator between user and computer. OS is a mediator between user and computer. Now you understood, right? So why we are using a OS into the hardware? Because of hardware knows only binary language. So user knows only English language. That's the reason we are directly unable to communicate with the hardware. So that is the reason. So that is the reason. So we need a OS. We need a OS to communicate with each other. Guys. So any hardware, if you are interacting with any hardware, definitely there will be a OS. There will be a OS is installed because of hardware knows only binary language and the end user knows only English language. So there is no possibility to communicate with each other. So that is the reason we need a OS. We need a OS. So for example, guys, which mobile phones are you using?
Poco, Vivo.
Vivo, right?
Vivo.
So Sindhu, you also using Vivo, na?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So Etish, you also using iPhone, right? So mute yourself. You can talk from directly. Okay. Yeah. So Sindhu, you are using Vivo, right?
Yes, sir.
So Vivo is a hardware or not?
Yes, sir.
So Vivo is a hardware. So made up with the chips, right? So Vivo phone knows which language?
Same binary language, sir. I don't know, sir.
You don't know. Hardware, you know right now. You understood. Hardware knows only.
Only zeros and ones binary language, sir.
So Vivo is a hardware. So Vivo is a hardware. So Vivo knows only binary language, zeros and
Ones.
zeros and ones, right? Zeros and ones. So you know which language? So this is a
Sir,
Sindhu.
English.
Sindhu knows only English language.
And
So is
Telugu
there
also.
a Sindhu, for example? So you are interacting with this UO. Is there any possibility to interact with this hardware?
No, sir. No possibilities.
Definitely there will be a OS is installed. So which OS is installed on your mobile phone?
Android, sir.
Yes, very good. Android. So Android OS is installed on your mobile phone. So that's the reason you are able to communicate with that hardware. So for example, Yetish is using which phone? iPhone, right? Yeah. So yeah. So Yetish, you are using Apple phone. Apple phone, right? You are using an Apple phone, and so this is a Yetish. Yetish using Apple phone. Yetish knows which language? Again, English language. So iPhone, which Apple phone hardware knows which language? Binary. So is there any possibility to communicate with each other?
No, sir.
No. We need a
Mac OS, sir.
we need a so which OS? iOS. It is. So which OS is installed on our Apple phones? iOS is the OS. iOS is the OS. Now you understood, right, guys? For example, so you guys are using your Wi-Fi routers, right? So Wi-Fi routers. So Wi-Fi routers. Sindhu, are you using internet on your home?
Yes, sir. Geo, sir.
Geo is the internet. Geo is the internet you are using in our home, right? So Geo Wi-Fi router. So you changed your username and password, right? Username
Yes, sir.
and password. How you changed the username and password? Because of Wi-Fi router is a hardware. Wi-Fi router is a hardware. Hardware knows which language?
Only
Again,
zeros and ones
zeros
binaries.
and binary language. So how you changed your Wi-Fi username and password? So because of English language, so English language, J is the hardware. So hardware knows only
Zeros and ones.
zeros and ones, and only
English language.
English language. So if you want to communicate with the router hardware, definitely there will be a
Communication mediator. Translator.
Who is translator?
In Geo app, I have changed it, sir. Through Geo app, I have changed it, sir.
So if you are interacting with any hardware, definitely there will be a OS is installed. From now onwards, you guys can remember. If you are interacting with any hardware, interacting with any hardware, either mobile or either laptop or a desktop or a Wi-Fi router or a video games, whatever it may be. So if you are interacting with any hardware, definitely there will be a OS is installed on that machine. So that's the reason. Then only we can interact with that hardware. Then only we can interact with that hardware. Now you understood, Sindhu?
Yes, sir. But may I know what is that exact operating system I have connected with my router, sir?
I don't know. So definitely there will be a OS is installed. So there
Okay,
will
sir.
be a, for example, a simple Linux OS is installed. A simple Linux OS is installed. So definitely, so with the help of the Geo created, the great created a app and so app and Linux with combined app and Linux and released installed in this hardware. The same like as a Vivo. So which one? Android is the OS. Android is the OS. Android OS something like Android plus Linux combined and installed on your machine on this hardware, either mobile phone or a mobile phone. So that's the reason we are able to interact with this hardware. So whatever it may be, it is a Windows or it is a Linux or it is a iOS or it is a Mac or it is a, so see, it is a Ubuntu, any Linux. So definitely there will be a voice if you are interacting with any hardware. Sindhu, Yatis and Maharashtra. So so please remember this, guys. So if you are interacting with any hardware, definitely there will be a OS is installed on your on that hardware. So if you are interacting means, so definitely we need to install the OS. There will be a OS is installed on that machine. So that's the reason we are able to interact with that hardware. Without OS, we cannot interact with that hardware. Without OS, so we cannot interact with that OS. Guys, understood? Sindhu, understood?
Sir, yes, sir.
Yeah. So from now onwards, if you are interacting with any hardware, definitely there will be a OS is installed. That's the reason we are communicating that hardware. Otherwise, we cannot communicate with that hardware. Otherwise, so we cannot communicate with this hardware. Guys, understood?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So now we understood, right, guys? OS. So how many types of OSs? How many types of OSs are there, guys? Types of OSs. So types of OSs. How many types of OSs are there?
Command line interface, graphic user interface.
Very good. Sindhu.
Huh?
So in our laptop, so in our laptop, so in our laptop, 1 second, I'm taking a snippet. In our laptop, how many users are connecting at a time, Sindhu?
In my laptop, sir, me only. I have connected now, sir.
Yeah. So you connected now your laptop, right? So
Yes, sir.
so yeah, directly how many users we can connect in your laptop? Only one user. So that
Yes,
is
sir.
nothing but a single user operating system. Single user operating system. So single user operating system. What are those single user operating systems, guys?
Windows 10, Windows 7, Windows 8,
Windows 10,
9,
Windows 11,
7,
Windows 8, Windows 7, Windows Vista, Windows XP, right? So these all are the OSS, single user operating system. So single user operating system supported hardwares. So what are the hardwares? So single user, so who developed that Windows OS? Who developed? Microsoft. So Microsoft company, Microsoft company developed the Windows operating system. So Windows operating system, right? So Microsoft developed two types of hardwares, two types of OSs. So one is single user operating system and multi-user operating system. For example, so Facebook, www.facebook.com. How many people are interacting with that in that site? Many number of people. So right. So some, for example, so I want to deploy my website in a multi-user operating system, and so the hardware, which hardware is supported for the multi-user operating system. So some companies are Dell company, HP company, IBM company, so Lenovo company, Compaq, Acer, Samsung. So these companies are created their own type of hardwares for single user operating system and multi-user operating system. So the multi-user operating system is, for example, so Dell. So what this is, guys? So this is a Dell Latitude series. What this is? Dell Latitude. So Dell Latitude, for example, 5430 or something like. What this is series? So this laptop is supported, this hardware is supported for the single user operating system. Single user operating system. So which hardware is supported for the multi-user operating system? Which hardware is supported for the multi-user operating system? Yeah. So Dell company, this company, Dell company created two types of hardwares. Dell company created two types of hardwares. So one is for single user operating system and another one is for multi-user operating system. Dell Power Edge R710. So this is the hardware developed for the multi-user operating system. So this operating system, so we can connect multiple users at a time. So right. So this operating system, so for example, these are the people. So these people can connect this operating system. Multiple users are connected to this operating system. So that is nothing but a multi-user operating system. So single user, how many users are connected to that your laptop, guys? Your laptop can connect only one people. Only one people. So that is nothing but a single user operating system, multi-user operating system. The same like as a Dell company also created two types of hardwares. So two types of hardwares. One is for single user operating system. The other one is for the multi-user operating system. The same like way HP company also created two types of hardwares. So one is for single user operating system. Other one is for multi-user operating system. So the same like way Lenovo. So Lenovo company only designed the hardware for only single user operating system. The Compaq, Acer, Samsung, right? These all are created a hardware for only single user operating system. But IBM company created a hardware, IBM Blade servers. What is that, guys? IBM Blade server, IBM X Blade server. So this is the server. This is the IBM Blade server. This server is IBM company supported only multi-user operating system. They created a hardware for multi-user operating system. Lenovo created only for the single user operating system, right? Some companies are created both single and multi, and some companies are created only single, some companies are created multi. Some companies are created multi-user and operating system supported hardwares. Okay. So Microsoft company also created two types of hardwares. One is for single user operating system and another one is for multi-user operating system. You know guys, single user operating system, Windows 10, 11, 8, 7, Vista, XP, right? So for multi-user operating system, so which OS they installed, they developed, they created Windows Server 2020 or something like a Windows Server 2018, Windows Server 2016, something like so Windows Server 2008, for example. So Windows and Linux OS is supported for the multi-user operating system. So Linux is supported for the multi-user operating system. Sindhu, now you understood?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So Windows, who developed Windows?
Microsoft company, sir.
Microsoft company created two types of OSs. So one is for single user operating system, other one is for multi-user operating system. But Linux is only defined. Linux is only created for multi-user operating system. So Linux is a multi-user operating system. So single user operating system, multi-user operating system. Now you understood Linux is the multi-user operating system. Sindhu, now you understood? Sindhu?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So Abdul joined, right? Abdul?
Hi, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. You just now joined,
I joined like 5 minutes back.
5 minutes back, right? So 1 second. Yeah. So what is OS, Noor?
Operating system in simple words, you can say it's like a mediator between the user and the hardware, and it like transfers the binary zeros and ones to the computer understandable format, and like it's like a what do you say, interpreter.
Interpreter, a
Yeah.
mediator, interpreter, or a translator.
Yeah.
So exactly why do we need OS?
OS, basically in order to like use the functionality of the hardware, we require OS.
So without OS, are you able to interact with the user? Are you user interact with the hardware? Are you able to interact with the hardware?
Without US, it will be difficult to interact with the hardware.
Why?
Because we don't understand the binary format and to give commands to the hardware to what functions to perform. That is why we need like an operating system which acts as a mediator, which converts your commands, your instructions, and asks the hardware to perform like those particular actions and functions.
Yep. So OS is nothing but it's a mediator or a interpreter or a translator between hardware and user. So hardware is something like so which laptop are you using, Abdul?
I'm using Dell.
Dell, right? So without OS, so something like you bought the Dell hardware from the Dell company, right? So you came back and you are trying to interact with that hardware. So you are unable to interact with that hardware because of then you are understand I know only English language and hardware knows only binary language. There is no possibility way to communicate with the hardware because of because of hardware knows only binary language, I know only English language, right? Definitely there is a mediator or translator or interpreter. We need a mediator to communicate with the hardware. Who is the mediator? OS is the mediator. OS is the mediator. So OS knows both the languages because of why something like OS is a mediator. Mediator knows both the languages. So whatever the user convey message to the OS and it translate to, for example, Noor. Noor knows only Hindi. For example, Maresh knows only Telugu. So your Maresh want to convey a message to the Abdul, and Abdul also trying to convey message to the Maresh. But Maresh doesn't know the Hindi and Abdul doesn't know the Telugu. Yeah. So I want to convey something like Maresh want to convey a message to the Abdul. So what are the possible ways to communicate with the Abdul? So definitely we need a mediator who knows both the languages, Telugu and Hindi. For example, Hari is the mediator. Hari knows both the Hindi and Telugu language. So Maresh want to communicate a message to the Abdul, right? So instead of directly communicating, so Maresh convey a message to the OS and OS translate it and convert it to the binary language. The same vice versa. So whatever you are, whatever computer providing, right? That will that will take care of the OS and translate it from Hindi to Telugu. Hindi to Telugu. Now you understood, Noor?
Yes, sir.
OS is a mediator between user and hardware. User and hardware. So which mobile phone are you using, Noor?
I'm using like OnePlus.
So you are using a OnePlus. OnePlus is the hardware. So
Yes.
which OS is installed on that hardware?
Android.
Android. Without Android, are you able to communicate with that hardware?
No, it is not possible to communicate.
Yeah, because of you don't know you don't know the mission level language, binary language, zeros and ones, and user doesn't you don't know the English language, right? So there is a big gap between two. So that's the reason. So you can so there is a Android OS is installed on your mission. So that's the reason you are able to communicate with that hardware. For example, which router, which Wi-Fi? So Abdul, which Wi-Fi are you using in our home? Which ISP provider, internet service provider?
It's ACT.
Active took, right?
No.
So they gave a router, right?
Yeah.
So that router, you changed your username password for that router. Is it right?
Yep.
Yeah. So that is a hardware, right? How you are interacting with that hardware? Abdul.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Yeah. So you are using your router, right? So that ACT router.
Yep.
For example, D-Link or TP-Link. So that router is a hardware,
Yeah.
right? You changed your username and password.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are interacting with any hardware, whatever it may be, irrespective of a router, irrespective of a mobile, irrespective of a laptop. So if you are interacting with that hardware, definitely there will be a OS is installed. Without OS, so we cannot interact with that hardware, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you are interacting with that hardware, something like you are changing your username password, definitely there will be a OS is installed. That's the reason you are able to communicate with that hardware, right?
Yes.
Yes, right. So now Now you understood. From now onwards, you guys can remember. So whenever you are interacting with any hardware, definitely there will be a OS is installed. So without OS installed, you are unable to interact, guys. You are unable to interact that hardware. So if you are interacting, definitely there will be a OS is installed. Have you understood? Abdul?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So types of OSs. How many types of OSs? So there are two types of OSs. One is single user operating system and other one is multi-user operating system. So single user operating system, how many people are connecting at a time? So which laptop are you using? Dell, Abdul?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So 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 that laptop, so how many people are interacting at a time to that laptop?
Only
How
one.
many people? Only one. So that is nothing but a single user operating system. So multi-user operating system is nothing but we need to connect that server multiple users. So multiple users and do the work. So that's the reason. So we need a
Okay.
mediator
Yeah,
to
no.
communicate with the hardware. To communicate with the hardware, so we need a mediator. Now you understood
Yes.
why OS comes into the picture. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Types of OSs. Two types of OSs. One is single user operating system, multi-user operating system. So Windows 10, Windows 11, Windows 8, Windows 7, Vista, XP, Windows Server 2020, Windows Server 2018, 2016, and 2008 Linux. So Linux is popular for the server side operating system. So server side operating system. Guys, now you understood?
Yes.
Yeah. Now, who developed, who created the Linux OS? Guys, who developed the Linux OS?
Linus.
Linus
Linus
Torvald.
Torvald.
Yeah. So sorry guys, Linus Torvald. So in 1991, studied in one of the university, and his mentor is asking to create a new OS. So new OS. Then he created a OS called as a Minix OS based on the
Unix.
Unix OS. Very good. So based on the Unix OS, Minix having some drawbacks. So Minix OS having some drawbacks. So we want to overcome those drawbacks. So how we can? So something like, what are the drawbacks? There is no networking for the Minix OS. So he developed the networking and attached in the software. That Linux software. So right, Minix OS having some drawbacks. So Minix. So what are the drawbacks, guys? There is no network for that OS. He overcome those challenges and released a new OS. So released a new OS, and he is thinking to put the new name for the OS. So that is a new OS is designed, and he is thinking to create a new name for that OS. So new name for that OS. So that is nothing but so what is his name, guys?
Linus.
He took the first 4 letters from his name and last letter from Unix. So which letter, guys? So last letter from Unix. Now it became a
Linux.
Guys, now you understood how Linux came into the picture?
Yeah.
Abdul?
Yes.
Yes, right. Linux. So Linus Torvald created a Linux OS. So Linux OS. So This Windows OS is a GUI OS, guys. What is that? GUI. GUI means graphical user interface. So Linux released as a CLI. What is that, guys? Command line interface. Command line interface means, so how you can interact with that OS?
By using commands only.
So by using only commands, we can interact with this OS. I will show you guys. So this is the OS. CentOS 7 Linux OS is installed on my machine. Okay. So Linux OS comes into the picture, and he released as a so he released as a open source. So he released as a open source. All Windows family products are commercial. What is that? It's commercial. What is commercial means? So yeah, before we can use, to buy the
License.
license. To buy the license, guys. To buy the license. So right. So what is open source, guys? What is open? So what is open source? Open source means
It's available free of cost.
it's available for free of cost. The second meaning also there. There are 2 points.
You can make changes and you can make changes to the source code and update it.
Yeah, source code also available. Free of cost means, what is free of cost, guys? It's freely available without without buying, without buy, so we can use it. But what is the source code, guys? What is the source code? Sindhu, what is the source code?
Source code is the main code on which the particular software has been developed.
Very good. For example, Facebook, LinkedIn, WhatsApp. So the developer are developed the code for these websites, right? The same way. So the Linus Torvald is developed the code by using C++ for developing the Linux OS. That code also available freely. For example, you have a Facebook code. Do you want to write it again? No need, right? If you have a Facebook code, right, you can take it, and I can take it the Facebook code, and I will replace the word wherever the Facebook is there. I will replace it to book face. Now I released as a book face because of I don't do the efforts to develop the code, because of it's freely available. So whatever I want, I can customize it and I can release as a new website. The same way, so the source code is available, right? So some companies are took that source code and created their own type of they customized and they customized their own type of Linux and released as a Linux OS. So if you have the source code, you can customize your own software with the help of that code. So we can customize it, and so we can create our own Linux. Guys, understood?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Abdul, now you understood?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So it is difficult to watch the recordings. If you watch the recordings, you know everything, but you don't have a time to watch the recordings.
Actually,
right?
I have yesterday night I have finished all the recordings.
Uh,
So the playlist which you have showed me for the
mm,
AWS for working professionals, I have finished all those recordings. 20
finished.
recordings.
You finished everything, huh?
Yep. I have finished the OS part, the Linux partitions and Linux file system hierarchy, and
No, what
different
I'm
types of.
saying, so there is no use for watching the recordings.
Yeah,
So we need to practice it, guys. We need to
yeah,
practice. So
yep, yep,
practice makes mere perfection,
yeah.
right?
The more we practice, the more like.
Yes. Keep practicing, Abdul. Keep
Right.
practicing. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So Linus Torvald released as a Linux OS and released as a open source. So released as a open source. Sindhu, are you able to understand? Sindhu, you there?
Sir, yes, sir, I'm hearing. I'm understanding it, sir.
Yeah, I will provide the recording. You can watch it again and again. Okay. Yeah. So Linus Torvald released as a OS. So why Linux is popular than Windows? So why Linux is popular than Windows? Windows also multi-user, right?
Um, but it is highly secure, sir. Yes, sir. Because
Hmm. So
we
because of
can work, we can work work in Linux only with commands, sir. It is not possibility to. It is not possible to hack the code or any data, sir.
so something like so Windows, why every time Windows OS are hacked? So because of Windows is developed with the help of images, minimize, maximize, geo, right? So how virus comes into the hardware, something like through the images, but this Linux OS is only developed through the commands is nothing but a ABCD, something like pwd is the command, ls is the command, only alphabets, right? There is no way to, because there is no way to attack, there is no possible way to hack the Linux because of line. So there is no, yeah, it is a command line interface. So highly secure and portable. So why portable? So OS is designed with the help of the commands, right? How much data it will take to install the OS, something like 8 GB is enough. So if you want to install the Windows, we need at least 100 GB for the multi-user, 50 GB for the single user. Because of this OS is this is the Linux OS. How it is developed? This OS is developed with the help of images, right? With the help of images. Okay. Yeah. So released as a open source, right? So So now you understood, right? Hackers will easily attacking the hacking the so they will send the viruses to the Windows servers because of so images, right? It will develop with the help of images. Now we understood. So he released as a open source. Some of the companies took that source code and created their own OSs. Their own OSs. So for example, IBM company. Which company? IBM company took that source code and created their own OS called as a AIX Linux OS. Same way, HP company also. Who is that? HP company also took that source code, and created their own OS called as a UX Linux OS. The same way, Sun Microsystems. Who is that? Sun Microsystems. So, developed a like OS called as a Solaris. What is that? Solaris Linux OS. The same way, Oracle company, not Oracle, Amazon also. Amazon company took that source code and created their own OS called as a Amazon Linux 2023, comma Amazon Linux 2. The same way, Oracle company also took that source code and created own Linux called as a Oracle Linux. So Oracle Linux OS. The same way, Red Hat Inc. Which company, guys? Oracle Inc. created Inc. US companies, right? US companies names called as Inc. Okay. So Oracle Linux OS created. So Red Hat also. Red Hat company also created three types of Linuxes, three types of OSs. So one is Fedora. This is R&D purpose, and CentOS and Red Hat Linux. So Red Hat Linux OS, CentOS Linux OS, Fedora Linux OS, right? So if you learn any one of the OS, CentOS, Fedora, Red Hat, the same. These two are the Makki copy. These two are the Oracle Linux and Amazon Linux are copied from the Red Hat Linux. If you learn any one of these Linux, it will be easy to operate this Amazon Linux, Oracle Linux, and Red Hat Linux. Okay. The same way, Debian company took that source code and created their own OS called as a Ubuntu, the something like a SUSE Linux, FreeBSD Linux. So there are n number of Linuxes are operating systems are there because of he released as a open source, right? So in our course, which OS we are learning? We are learning in the Fedora Linux Red Hat. So Fedora Linux Red Hat. So these are the flavors. So Windows is the flavor. So version is which version installed, guys? The same like here also there are the versions, something like a CentOS 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, right? The same way, Red Hat 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 7, 8, 9, guys. So the flavor CentOS 2, CentOS Red Hat 2, CentOS 3, CentOS 4, CentOS 5, CentOS 6, CentOS 7, CentOS 8, CentOS 9. So in this course, so what we will learn now? We will learn the CentOS. We learn the CentOS 7, guys. So which one? CentOS 7 or Red Hat 7. So if you learn any one of the OS, it will be easy to understand all the flavors.
So, sir,
All the yeah.
sorry.
Abdul, tell me.
What is the most common flavor or the distribution which companies use nowadays, like in 2024?
Real time, right?
Real time, yes.
Yeah. So most of the companies are using CentOS and Red Hat, and few people are using Ubuntu. Few people are using Ubuntu. Few
Okay.
people are using Oracle Linux. So something like in AWS, right? The cloud. Definitely we need to use Amazon Linux only.
Okay.
Amazon Linux.
So you can say like Red Hat is the top one.
Red Hat is the top one.
Okay.
So Red Hat is the top one. That's the reason. So we are discussing in the class Red Hat only, because of most of the companies, 80% of the companies are using only Red Hat.
Right. Kali Linux is also a part of Red Hat, right, sir?
Not a part of Kali is a different Linux.
Okay.
Kali Linux, FreeBSD Linux, SUSE Linux, Ubuntu Linux. So these are the different. Okay. Understood, guys?
Sir.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, right. Yeah. So now you understood Red Hat Linux, Red Hat OS. Right. This is the hardware. This is a multi-user operating system. What this is, guys? This is a what this is, guys? This is a multi-user operating system. So yeah, if you want to interact with this hardware, definitely what we need to do, guys?
Need to have a soft operating system.
Yes, very good. Because of user know only English language and hardware knows only binary language. So that's the reason we need to install the OS on operating system. Which operating system we are using? CentOS
CentOS 07.
CentOS 7.
Yeah.
So OS is installed. OS is installed. After that, so if you want to deploy application, what you need? Java Tomcat web server. Something like in the Tomcat web server, you are deploying your code. So you are deploying your code. So that's the reason we need to learn must and should the Linux. So must and should Linux. Guys, understood? Yeah. So what we are discussing in this course, the first one is Linux. So after that, we will start AWS. Then we will include DevOps tools. Then we'll include DevOps tools. Have you understood? Abdul?
Yeah.
Sindhu?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now you understood, right? Guys, I will create a channel, something like the YouTube channel. YouTube playlist, sorry. You guys can subscribe my channel, Tech World with Hari. So in this Tech World with Hari, okay, I will create a new playlist for you guys and I will upload whatever the recordings, everyday recordings, we will upload it in the YouTube, guys. Okay, you guys can watch it. You guys can watch it from that YouTube links. Okay, Sindhu, understood? Sindhu,
Yes, sir.
Maresh,
Yes,
Abdul,
sir.
Yatish. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Yep. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. So we'll continue from tomorrow. Abdul,
Yes, sir.
there is no class today because of Tulasi, Kirti. No one is available for connecting that class.
Okay.
So we will take tomorrow. Okay.
Tomorrow will Saturday.
Tomorrow is a Saturday. Yeah. I will take the class Saturday. So for this, guys, for this batch, so the classes will be Monday to Friday only. Okay.
Okay.
But so for that, you, Abdul, and so your batch. So I
Tulsi.
will take tomorrow. Tulasi, your batch, I will take tomorrow. Okay.
Okay.
So tomorrow we doesn't have any class, sir.
We doesn't have any class. The
Okay, sir.
class will be from Monday to Friday. and 2 p.m. to 3 p.m.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Sir, shall I ask you one thing, sir?
Hmm.
Sir, Linux దగ్గర I mean,
Hmm.
హార్డ్వేర్ దగ్గర CentOS
Hmm.
లినక్స్ ఆపరేటింగ్ సిస్టమ్ వచ్చినప్పుడు టు
Hmm.
డెప్లాయ్ కోడ్ యూ హ్యావ్ అదే టామ్ క్యాట్ అండ్ జావా అని రాశారు కదా సార్, వాట్
Hmm.
ఈస్ దట్ సార్?
So for example, developer develop the code. So in which language? Developers are develop the code in the Java language, right? So this is a Java language. How do you know? So if you install the Java, right, then only you know. Okay, it does not.
Sir?
Yeah, are you able to see my screen?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, you see something like here Java, install Java and Tomcat. Why we need a Tomcat? Why we need Java? Because of your code. The developers develop that code, right? That developed code by using which language? Java language. By using which language?
Java
Java.
language.
Java language. That's the reason we need to install the Java, because of the code is in Java language, right? So where we need to deploy our code, we need to deploy our code in the any web server. What is that web server? Tomcat is the web server. So once we install the Tomcat, so we can deploy our code. So once we deploy our code, right, we will see it in the browser. You will see it in the browser. So web server, web browser. So whatever the code we are deploying in the web server, we can see it in the web browser. Okay. Web browser is the client, web server is the server to deploy our code. Okay. So going forward, you will understand.
Okay, sir. Okay,
Okay.
sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. I will teach you everything. No worries.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I'll just call you. I have to talk to you something.
Ah.
Okay.